Alright, let's do this. Alright. Hello everyone, and this is Wookie Dingleberries with the Republic in a recap video. Unfortunately, I had recorded some awesome gameplay footage from the attack, but I was using new software, it didn't work, so I'm doing this summary video instead. So it will be a lot shorter, but we'll miss out on the actual offense and attack. But I'm going to go ahead and recap what happened, what worked really well in the offense, as well as what worked really well in my defensive strategy and how that might benefit you going forward in your next Grand Arena. So, as you can see here, I've got it pulled up with the current event. You can see I came in first place with 3 wins. So that makes 6 of the last 7 that I have come in first place. So I'm very happy with those results, very consistently winning with this strategy. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the review here. And what you can see is we accomplished a full clear and he got stuck. So I'm first going to talk about the offense here and what he had on defense and how I was able to go through and attack. And then I'm going to cover where he was at on offense versus my defense and how we ended up getting the win. So to start with, in this top front zone, he had Phoenix squad. And then he had GK, Barris, and Bastila, followed up by Jedi Knight Revan, Jolie, and Grandmaster Yoda. Okay, we did lose a few points here against Jedi Knight Revan. It was the very first matchup, and I decided to take the Triumvirate against him, and I didn't swap out Scion for Thrawn, and it fell apart. That's one key thing is you can use Traya against this setup in Jedi Knight Revan. However, replace Scion with Thrawn because you want that isolate on Grandmaster Yoda and fracture on Revan, and then Nihilus will just go ham. Unfortunately, I did not do that, so I had to pull out my own Revan to go against his on offense. I really don't like to drop a battle like that, especially having to use a meta team. As a second attempt, but we were able to clear it the second time. We were able to get full points for a second attempt and continue on. His other setup here, GK, Barris, and Bastila, I don't like that team. I mean, I think in that setup, Bastila's leadership is probably better, but still, I don't like Barris in the front line. If you're going to use Barris on defense, you absolutely can, but I would put that in the back. There's way too many counters. In this situation, I took just Rex and Wampa, and that was it. He could not do anything. There was no offense to speak of on that team. So, yeah, and then Phoenix. I don't like Phoenix on defense in the front unless it's Gear 12 fast and applicable Zetas installed. Phoenix is just too easy to shut down. I think I used Zeta Maul and Zavage, and that was, I think I just used those 2. I might have used a third, but that wasn't consequential. It's too easy to counter. You just put AoE days on them and just attack them. They're pretty easy to take out. When they're Gear 12, they do have some health and protection that'll help them last a little bit longer. Let's see here. In the bottom zone, he had Kylo Ren Unmasked, Kylo Ren, and First Order Officer. Not a bad team comp. I personally don't like First Order Officer in this matchup. Yes, he's good. He provides a lot of turn meter. But you don't have a lot of offense, and that's where I think First Order Executioner really helps. He has the buff removal, he has far more offense, and between Kylo Ren Unmasked, Kylo Ren, both being able to stun, Kylo Ren and First Order Executioner being able to remove debuffs, I think it's just a better setup. But again, I mean, not a bad alternative if you don't have First Order Executioner geared up. Then he had a pretty standard boss team there. Would have been a little bit stronger if he had put Jango in there. That second boss Zeta does help a lot, but still not a bad team. Then he put Jin and Chase. I think I've mentioned this in all of my videos. I don't like Jin and Chase on a front row defense. I don't really like them at all on defense. There's just too many counters, and they don't have a ton of offense. Chirrut is it. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here to the back zone. He had fodder, basically. He had Ewoks with a Chirpa Zeta, Wicket, and Logray. I don't like Ewoks on defense on 3v3. I mean, if it's all you have, it's all you have. The problem with Ewoks in 3-on-3 is they are more powerful in greater numbers, right? You know, Chirpa calls all Ewoks to assist. And when you only have 3 Ewoks, well, then you're cutting your attack power in half as opposed to 5. Instead of calling 4 Ewoks to assist, you only call 2. And without Elder on there to revive, I don't know. I would save Ewoks for 5v5. I would use them on offense against maybe like a Phoenix team if you throw Tebow in there. Tebow in an Ewoks team against Phoenix, it's brutal. There's not much they can do. So I would save it for offense. There's only a few teams they can counter and that won't beat them. And then they have Cody lead clones. Again, that's one of those situations where you daze 5s and the team falls apart. So not the best team set up back here. And then in the back zone on defense, this was better. This was better. But still, I mean, this is one of those areas where I think I've talked about it enough. I don't like throwing all of your Night Sisters on one team like this to where you can't make a really good second team. Split up Asajj and Mother Talzin. You will be better for it. And that's exactly what benefited me on defense this time. And then finally he had Rex, Wampa, and Sunfac. That was a little bit of a weird combination. It threw me off just a bit. But it's another one of those situations where even if Wampa was gear 12, double Zeta with decent speed, it's still, I don't like it. Yes, Wampa can go crazy, but it can work. Don't get me wrong, it can work. I like that combination too much on offense. This would have been an awesome, awesome offensive team that would have done well. But on defense, it was too easy to pick off Sunfac. Then don't get me wrong, it took a few minutes because Sunfac is a tank. But you know, you want to drive focus. I don't know. I mean, you want Wampa to have enough offense that he goes crazy when he attacks, and you want him to have speed enough to where he can really start using Furious Foe and buffing his offense and applying AoE days constantly and protection up. But in this situation, it just didn't work well on defense. It was too easy to take out Sunfac and then Rex and then daze Wampa. And once Wampa is dazed, without the Rex lead there, he's not gaining the bonus turn meter or anything. It's not healthy at that point. It's not helpful, a better word for it. So this was a pretty easy matchup. Again, this would have been an awesome team on offense against any number of teams that I put on defense. But on defense, I think they're better options. So anyway, that's what he put on defense. Not bad comps, more of what I would call kind of your average team structure for someone who's not very, very strategic in their placement. It's certainly not bad. I mean, it got him up to number 2 in the bracket, but that's something that I think that defense made it a little easy. If I hadn't lost that one match against his Revan, I would have been over 2,100 points. But on the flip side, he did put a lot of his good offense teams on defense, partly because of the way he structured his defense. But again, I mean, when I'm looking at teams like Jedi Knight Revan on defense, it's too easy to counter that. If you're going to put Jedi Knight Revan on defense, put it in the back zone where your opponent doesn't know where it is. You don't want it to be visible right away. And again, Gen Chase, that actually works on offense against a few teams, like Ewoks, for example, if someone puts Ewoks on defense or whatnot. But it's not a team I necessarily like on defense. The rest of his defense, in that zone was okay. And then again, that Rex Wampa Sunpack team, I think, is just better on offense. So we're going to talk a little bit about what he did here. He actually attacked at the same time I did, so I was able to see where he was going and what he was doing, which makes me really sad that I lost that video. But he started up here, and I remember he attacked the First Order team, took it out pretty quickly. That's completely understandable. I do have a 240 speed First Order officer, so that makes a difference. But that team went first, and then he left the two Night Sister teams alone, and he went to the bottom. And he went ahead, he took out the Browncoats in one round, he took out Crew in one round, and he took out Bosk in one round. And in order to do that, typically, he probably used JTR against Crew and CLS against Bosk, or vice versa. They're both great counters to these teams. So he probably used that setup. Hence, he got through them pretty quickly. Then he went to the back zone, and I had switched things up on defense. I put the GK Hoda team on the bottom, and he did go through it in one shot, which means he probably used his Treya team. He had Wampa on defense, right? So there's only a few good counters for this team. The other is Nihilus. By far, a Nihilus either... I don't know that I'd recommend taking Nihilus solo against this team, but let's say Nihilus with a Sith Trooper would make this an easy team to beat. So he probably used Treya, Scion, Nihilus here, or some combination. And then I had thrown Phoenix in the back just to kind of fill that slot. I wasn't expecting it to do well. Then he went up here and he got stuck on Night Sisters. And you can see what happened. He took 5 teams and didn't clear either one of these two teams. So this is exactly why I recommend splitting your Night Sister teams. You want Talzin, Acolyte, and Zombie on one. You can replace Acolyte with Spirit. You can switch it up. Nemesis told me about another comp where it's like Daka, Asajj, and a Zombie. There's a few different compositions. You can make 2 different teams a few different ways. I really like the way these 2 teams split. I think it works very, very well. You've got the stun synergy and the turn meter removal synergy up top. You have the plague and Acolyte Zombie stealth on the bottom there between the 2 teams. And he tried. I remember his second attempt, he almost had Talzin down. She was in the red. But with Night Sisters, there's so much healing. With that pre-taunt zombie, it just became very, very difficult for him. He could not get past it. So that was a very good defensive strategy. Normally, I split this up. Normally, I'll put like Asajj or Talzin in the front zone and the other Night Sister team in the back zone like I did in round 2. But this time I decided to do it a little differently, just because I wanted to kind of shake things up a hair. I don't want to become too predictable, but at the same time I don't want to change too much. So I did a little bit different here. I did put Nest up here. Normally I put the Nest team on the bottom and the back. Put Kira, Nest, Vander, Chewie, and then Zam, Greedo, Dengar. Not something that I expect would win much. Ideally, if he had already used a lot of offense on the bottom, that I think he did, and he took more than 1 team each to get through Night Sisters, then I was hoping that Nest would be good enough to hold at least 1 battle. But that wasn't necessary. He got stuck on Night Sisters. So again, this is a win. Hopefully these last 3-4 videos, 4 including this one, have provided a good recap as to what my overall Grand Arena strategy is, what teams I like to use, why I like to use them. You've seen the success where came in first in the bracket. This was a relatively decent matchup compared to some of the other rounds. But again, this is another win in the books for the Wookiee. And I have to say, it's just about cookie time. So from the Republic, we wish you well. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you again next time.